begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Loring, are you here? Mr. Schulte?
Mike's here.
Elmers? Here. Mr. Boer?
Here.
None present. First item listed is to approve or consider today's agenda.
Any changes or anything?
I don't have any.
Add anything?
No.
Motion. Motion by Loring.
Support it.
Support from DeVore. Any discussion concerning the agenda? Hearing none. Those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we would look at the minutes from January 2nd.
I'll make a motion for the minutes.
Support.
Motion from DeBoer, support from Helmers for approval of the January 2 minutes. Discussion or comments? None. All those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The minutes approved. Next, look at appointments. Charles Bowl and Dan Beekler as dispatcher jailers, separately or together?
Yeah, I think is together is fine. Charles is up for a pay raise, so he's going up to $45,691. And then Dan Beekler got hired on as a full-time dispatcher jailer from part-time position, and his salary would be $50,773.
I'll make a motion for those two. Support it.
A motion from Helmer, support from Loring for approval of appointments of Charles Bowl and Dan Beekler. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor of the appointments signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We have consideration of final payment for project L81 7372 Oriole Avenue South paving project.
This is really just a formality. The project's complete. This is releasing the retainage. Since it was left to the state, they require a board signature on that final payment.
So that's at $5,399. Okay.
Make a motion on that.
Support.
Motion for approval by Schulte, support from Loring. Any discussion concerning that final payment? None. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Do we want to consider the purchase of a new maintainer? How long do you need?
I don't know. This is basically purchasing a comparable machine that we purchased 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we did a lot of discussion going head-to-head with the Caterpillar against the John Deere, and we ultimately went with the Caterpillar. This year, we only secured a quote from Caterpillar. It was in the range of what we paid last time. We are trading in the last John Deere that's in our fleet, essentially ahead of schedule, but again, that machine has caused us nothing but problems for the better part of a decade, and the transmission's going out. We have made Caterpillar aware of that. They have adjusted the trade-in accordingly, but they are willing to take on basically the busted John Deere. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions on this.
How much?
With the trade-in, the net cost is going to be $400,398. not including the plow, which we typically purchase separately. So the plow will be about another $30,000. Last time the Caterpillar was about 2% higher than the John Deere cost, so a couple $1,000s.
I'll motion on the cat.
I'll support.
A motion for approval of the purchase of the new maintainer, the CAT as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Thank you.
Okay, you can stay there and you can start us out on department heads if you want.
Sure, no problem. So on the flooding update, we are currently working on reimbursement paperwork with FEMA. We had a meeting with them. We meet with them regularly. The meeting we had this past week was kind of go over their input system, their computerized system, on how to enter all that information. So we're going to start that process. Some of our projects are completely done in their eyes, so we'll be able to start getting some revenue start coming in. Construction, the Oriole Avenue, we just discussed the final payment, so that payment's also in claims. The A22, A34, L32, the bigger project, that project is physically complete. They did get the rest of the rumbles ground in along and the striping done, so we'll start doing the paperwork closeout with the DOT on that. From zoning, you were made aware of a variance request last week or last board meeting. That variance was approved by the Board of Adjustment. That was for a shorter building setback for a solar array at the Ochean Mill. Equipment, we did get delivery of our wheeled excavator, new excavator, which is part of this current fiscal year's budget. So we're in the process of outfitting that with radio and stickers and things like that. We'll put that into play soon. Otherwise, snow's been light. So most of our guys who normally be out plowing snow have been working on doing our wash bay project conversion, which was part of the budget this year, and some other things, brushing, tearing out the burnt down bridge and things like that. So if we get snow, then we'll be out doing snow. This week with the weather, we might actually get out and maintain if it actually hits 40 degrees like they say. So that's what we got going on.
Sharon?
Yes, it's this is real estate here, so we're looking over all the values. Increases again, not as bad as it was a couple years ago. We're gonna try to average 10% on commercials and 10% on residential. We don't have the A numbers yet. We're making our final callback, and he said if the weather holds and there's no snow, we can actually get out and take some photographs. So that would be a little early, and that would be nice. And then I'm planning to have my budget meeting on Wednesday, January 29th, before your meeting. So, I'll give you all my budget material items put together. Any questions, give me a holler before the meeting, but there's no surprises, so should be an easy go. That's all.
Right, thanks.
Effective January 1st, our fees have increased for our titles, our road use tax, and our lien fees all went up $10 each. So that's a nice increase for us, I guess. Our driver's license camera's been having issues, so if you hear people that maybe got turned away because they can't get it figured out, and we haven't heard back from Indemnity yet, so we're waiting patiently on that. And then also I just want to put a plug in that the Athletic Boosters is doing another lead speaker. It's lead differently, so everybody's welcome in the community to join that. So I'm just going to set that up there. That's January 29th at 6:45.
All right, thanks. The Bears.
For 2024, I did a total of 17 claims for veterans. All were approved except 2, and 1 is being reworked to hopefully get approved. 3 are still in the process. I did, signed up 7 new veterans for the VA healthcare system. I did 1 pension for aid in attendance and 5 intent to file, so they have a year to be able to put in a claim. 8 new veterans within that, last year. I'm getting a lot of new veterans by putting out the newsletter, so that has really helped. They see it, I've gotten good reviews for the newsletter. This fall I gave out 50 little goodie bags for veterans. I went around to some of the different companies in town and did a day at the scale in Ocheeden to hand out to like the farming veterans. And so this next year I plan to just keep doing outreach and promotional stuff to try to get some more new veterans.
Okay, so we got a lot of people coming in hoping for snow. They're doing their snowmobiles and ATVs, and that's going pretty well. And then boats come due in April, and you can use them anytime now after the first of the year we could. So, for modernization, we're still working on that for the documents. So.
Observation?
Trout Fest is scheduled for February 1st. The way things are looking right now, we don't have to worry about not having enough ice. 7 below 0 or whatever it was this morning. We are adding ice every day, which is good. Other than that, I guess cabin update. I think the last time I was here, we were insulating it. We got that all done. And then we have since put up all the sheetrock in the cabin, and I believe we're about 99% done with the first round of mudding and paving. So there was 3 inside corners that were done yesterday, but I believe Matt was working on those as well. So come along. The HVAC has been installed, which is really nice. It's like 70 degrees in there. So.
Attorney?
Well, we have a criminal trial coming up and a serious injury by a vehicle operating while intoxicated case that will hopefully get done in February. We have an extradition hearing today for somebody who's been in our jail for a while, so hopefully get them moved along. Still remaining busy in juvenile court with our first to date Indian Child Welfare Act active efforts case, which is pretty time consuming. Otherwise have just been busy, and today does mark my last full day as Osceola County Attorney. It's been an honor to work with all you guys. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit, but it's been real. Appreciate the opportunity. It doesn't seem like it's been 7.5 years, so.
Chantry got the valuations all done. Yeah, we're working on that. I'm working on budgets right now. Passports are keen to seem happening. I'm working with Maggie from Spears Financial to work on that $5 million bond. We're working on getting that started in the process. Probably be March when we have our money. I also working with John Hanson. He told me he would have a pay schedule this year, so I know what to budget for next year. So I'm working with him on that. So keep plugging away.
All right. And I believe Buffy brought some treats for us. A couple options of muffins and some cookies, so thank you to Barton Heads. Thank you, Buffy. Help yourselves. Oh, no. Let me have that. You broke it? Sorry, I don't know. It's that simple. Should accuse you of that. Okay. O'clock. And 9:30 and 10 o'clock, we have drainage meetings. Do we want a motion to suspend this meeting and enter drainage?
I'll make that motion to suspend the current meeting.
Second.
Motion by Helmer, support from Loring to suspend the meeting for drainage meeting, joint drainage meeting. Any discussion? None. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. This one we need to, you said Spencer might be running a little late.
Yeah, they're
I guess
running
we could've-
late. But
I should have remembered that before I.
well, Dickens
Thank you for the
County's
meeting.
waiting for us, so maybe we can start ahead and
Okay.
roads, I guess, roads were not very nice, he said.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound. Enter your participant ID followed by pound. Otherwise, just please enter the meeting password followed by pound. You've not entered any numbers. Please re-enter the meeting password followed by pound.
There's no meeting password. Say Jan.
You are in the meeting now. There are 2 participants in the meeting. You are muted. You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6. You are unmuted.
Good morning, Jordan, and everybody.
Good morning. We're just going to finish just a motion here quick.
Yep.
Just a second.
That's fine.
Steve. Aye. 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 We're ready for you, Rochelle.
Okay, Spencer's still not here yet. They're running late, so,
Okay.
but we have no landowners here in Osceola as of yet, unless they're still coming, but
I don't think anybody's here for this meeting as well. There's just the 2.
right. Okay. I guess we could go ahead with the
We'll
agenda.
call the meeting to order and we'll consider the agenda. If we have a motion to approve today's agenda.
This is Clark, I would motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting.
Okay, motion by Clark.
I'll support.
Schulte offers support. Any discussion concerning today's agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of approval of the January 14th agenda, signify with aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, next we have minutes to consider from December 10th meeting from 2024. And as you've given us latitude to proceed with this effort, since it's all being done in Osceola County, that was a meeting with only our board.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
wasn't here. Yes, I wasn't here for that meeting, I'm not saying anything. That's,
Are we calling with the consent calendar?
Yep, yeah,
Later
we're just,
on, we're
we're just
considering
approving the minutes.
minutes from the last meeting currently.
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
Motion for approval from Helmers,
I'll support that.
support from DeBoer. Any discussion concerning December 10's minutes? Hearing none, all in favor signify with aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We had Spencer and his bouncer arrive, it looks like.
Yeah, morning,
So
everyone.
we can move into the public hearing portion, and we'll allow Spencer to work us through.
Sounds good. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Apologize for being a little late there, but we'll get started. Got Luke Carpenter here with me. He's a graduate engineer on our team. He's just kind of observing training today, so we'll get started. Osceola County, I had given you when we filed the reports. Does anybody like a copy of the report if you don't have it from before?
Is that what you emailed yesterday?
Yeah.
I did make copies for
Oh,
them.
perfect. Okay, I've got extras if anybody needs
Okay.
one. Otherwise,
Yep.
we'll go ahead and get started then. So today we've got the public hearing for annexation for Joint Drainage District 3. Before we get into it, I'll just ask for confirmation from both counties that we had the notices mailed and published in the paper.
Yes, and that's on file.
Okay.
Yeah.
We did a Dickinson as well, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. We had 2 landowners affected, so just the 2 mailed notices, and then we did have it published in each county. That was the recommendation that Brian Young gave for notice. So did we have any objections filed before the hearing?
Osceola did not.
And neither did Dickinson.
Okay, sounds good. Well, we'll go ahead and get started then. And so what we have today is annexation into Joint Drainage District 3. The particulars are outlined in the report. Kind of the summary is that we have Joint Drainage District 3, which is going to come out to be roughly right around 15,000 acres total, the watershed. And it was, if you remember, it was reclassified in the 80s, and at that time, the watershed was pretty well delineated, and I'm assuming they had done some annexation then. And so we reviewed the current watershed and assessment schedules against what they had from the 80s, and found in general that they had done a pretty good job in the 80s, and everything matched up pretty close. We had also, as part of our work on the project, requested tile maps and done a review of the watershed to see if there were any areas of discrepancy or that didn't quite match up. We did receive some tile maps of one area that we found that was not shown within the watershed in the 80s that is drained in through private tile, and then also through our review of the LiDAR data and flow paths, found another area over in Dickinson County that drained in, and then we reviewed the historical aerials, and there was an aerial shown in the report there with some signatures of private tile that drained into JDD3 as well. So it's kind of 2 areas, one shown in Dickinson County with 1 parcel for 12 acres, and then also one area over in Osceola County that was 3 parcels, comes out to be about 23.5. So in total, 35.5 acres between those 2 areas. So fairly small amount of annexation overall. Compared to the size of the watershed.
I don't know how to do that.
See you in the call or what?
Hey Spencer, you're cutting out over
Yeah,
here.
yeah, we have a call coming in. Hold on a
Okay,
minute.
yeah, there's something up with the speakerphone, so she's working on it. Yeah.
But we didn't transfer the call in, so I don't know who it is. Hello, this is Rochelle. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'm trying to watch the board of supervisors meeting, but this number pops up and it's not a live feed. It's just this number. So I thought to call it.
Oh, yeah, we don't, it's not, our supervisor's meeting isn't a live feed. Are you interested in the joint drainage ditch?
No, I was just trying to watch it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, you'll be on our website in a
Okay.
few days. All right, thank you.
Right.
All right, Jordan, sorry about that.
Okay, picking back up. So in summary, we have 2 areas of annexation totaling 35.5 acres, so pretty small in general compared to the size of the watershed. Both of these were verified with, as I mentioned, either tile maps or signatures that these areas are drained and tiled into district tiles of Joint Drainage District 3. And so based on our review and evaluation of both these areas, they are materially benefited by Joint Drainage District 3, and they do receive benefit. However, they're not currently being assessed. And so as part of our current work in Joint Drain 3, we're obviously reclassifying as well. And so what leads us to recommend annexation of these 2 areas into Joint 3, and then they would be included as part of that reclassification as well. So that's kind of the summary of those proposed annexation areas. The last thing I wanted to touch on as part of the hearing here was just that Joint Drainage District 2 and Joint Drainage District 4 between Osceola and Dickinson both do outlet and drain into the ditch of Joint Drain 3. We had talked about these in previous board meetings, that Joint Drain 2 pays Joint Drain 3 through an outlet agreement, and that will be included in the reclassification. That agreement was made back in the 80s, I believe, and that was how we're going to continue to do that. And then Joint Drain 4 is separated by a couple miles of natural stream and like 40-some feet of elevation, so it doesn't receive material benefit from 3. So that's why I think those districts were covered and addressed in the report as well, but not annexing any of those areas for those reasons. So with that, I'll kind of stop there and see what questions the joint board has regarding the annexation. And then I guess after any questions, the action I'd be looking for from the joint board would then be to approve the annexation of that 35.5 acres included within 4 parcels as outlined in the report.
Is there any questions for Spencer?
What would be the proper way to make a motion on this? Should Dickinson County just make a motion on the lands in Dickinson County, or should it be for all 4 at once?
My understanding is that it would be the joint board taking a joint action on everything all at once.
It's 1 motion, 1 vote.
Fine to me.
Yep.
Thanks, Bill. Any further questions? And you had no one arrive to speak in Dickinson County? We have no landowners here in Osceola County. Did Dickinson County have anyone arrive to speak?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Do we want to close the public hearing and consider approval?
Yeah. If there aren't any other questions or public comment, I would recommend closing the public hearing and then taking action.
Hearing no questions.
Any questions from the public? No, there were no questions here from the public.
Then we'll proceed to close the public hearing, and we would give consideration to a motion approving the report and annexation of the acres.
This is Helmers. I'll make that motion to approve the report and the annexation.
This is Wormerson. I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Helmers, support from Wormerson for approval of the report and proceeding with annexation of the 35.5 acres identified. Any discussion concerning the motion? Without discussion, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor of approval signify with aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. All right, we have approval. Next, you would move us towards consideration of appointing Joel Bosma and Melvin Wernemont as commissioners for reclassification.
Yeah, just quick comment on this. As the joint board is aware, we're working on the reclassification work for JDD3. That's getting underway with the reclassification, has been for a little while. And so we'll be looking at here later this winter, early spring, doing some commissioner review and then looking towards filing a report and having a hearing here this spring for that reclassification. And so part of that process is appointing our landowner commissioners, talking with Brian Young, being a joint district, kind of the typical procedure is to have one commissioner from each county. And so that's what we have here. Here, and I believe Dickinson had reached out to Mel about him being willing to participate, and then we had Rochelle had connected with Joel Bosma, and we did confirm neither of these had any land owned in the district, so they'd be a disinterested third party. So that would be our recommendation, that the joint board would move with appointing them as commissioners for the reclassification work.
I'm interested in moving
Morrison
that.
will make the motion to appoint Joel Bosma and Melvin Wernemout as commissioners for reclassification of joint drainage district D&O number 3.
Motion.
Mr. Schulte, I'll support that.
Support from Schulte. Any discussion concerning the appointment of those individuals identified? Hearing none, those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Hearing none, the motion passes. Next, we would consider the branch 152, 178 construction project update.
So I wasn't sure if Dickinson County wanted to.
Dickinson County is welcome to stay on, but you've given us the leeway to guide this process. If you don't want to stay, that's fine too, but.
Next, we've just got construction stuff here in Osceola County, so if Dickinson wanted to drop off, we can proceed here.
Did you want to drop off and I just call you back at 9:30, Jordan, or do you guys want to stay on the line?
You guys tell me.
Should be good.
Listen?
Yeah, because we've got a 9:30.
Yeah, and Osceola's on there with us too, so we can listen.
Okay. Well, I'll provide a quick update here. So, Joint Drainage District 3 construction project. As I think Osceola Board is aware, and we're obviously past the contract completion date for this, with the work not yet being complete. The contractor has been continuing to work whenever possible. He was not working, or he was out there yesterday doing a few things, but too cold to work today. He's been able to work through a little bit of frost, installing pipe, and the last time we had talked, one of his concerns was getting rock on site. He was able to source some rock, and then he has got a attachment for his skid loader rock crusher on site that he's crushing it on site, and so that's been working pretty well. So he has been able to continue to work since the last update. Since then, you'll see included within the pay app here that he's completed quite a bit of work the last month. They got all the 42-inch pipe installed, and then they did get done just last Friday with all the 36-inch pipe, and so they're down to the 24-inch pipe. Started installation of that this week, or last week, and continuing this week. Generally, things have been going pretty well. Overall, they've been working through a little bit of frost, and so been doing a pretty good job of closing the trench back up right away, so we don't have as much frost, but there will definitely be some final cleanup and grading needed in the spring to address that. Other work, some of the site cleanup items that have been ongoing, and any tile repairs will more than likely have to be completed in the spring. We do have more televising planned here for the first week in February to televise another portion of the pipe that's been installed, so we'll know if there's anything else that needs to be addressed then. Ultimately, we're kind of where things sit with construction right now. Contractor has been working, has indicated they want to continue to work based on the current weather outlook. It appears that they'll be able to work at least some days for the next few weeks. The remaining, so you'll see on the pay app once we get through that the contract is marked at 89% complete. So the remaining work that they have in terms of to meet substantial completion, they've got the 24-inch pipe to install and then the 15-inch pipe to install. If they had good going, I could see that taking them maybe roughly 3 weeks of good working days to get all that done would be my estimate. So from talking with them, my understanding is their intention is to continue working whenever they can over the next month. Just kind of depends on how cold it is and if we get snow and frost, but they intend to continue working. And kind of my expected outlook for this is that they'll continue to work whenever they can, and they will get the pipe installed, and then there will be some cleanup, final grading and shaping and cleanup stuff that's still out there that will have to be done in the spring. And what we've communicated with them is that if that's the case, it's in everyone's best interest that all gets done first thing in the spring so that landowners can get back to their fields and plant. I do think that is reasonable at this time that could happen based on how much progress they've made and how much work is remaining. So that's kind of the update on where things sit right now. They're continuing to work. Our next agenda item here in a second, we obviously have a pay app today. I think the other thing that we should consider, not necessarily today, but might make sense upcoming for the board to have a closed session with Brian Young to discuss the closeout procedure and any damages that might be a part of that, since we are outside of the contract time. And so I think that makes sense to have that discussion in a closed session with Brian Young, and might, just with where they're at in construction and making progress, it might make sense to do that here sometime either later this month or early next month. And so I can get with Rochelle and try and find a time that works for the board's agenda to have that discussion. But that was kind of the only update I had for today. Nothing else. Before we move on to the pay app, is there any questions on progress or anything with the construction that I can answer right now?
I would maybe include Dickinson County in consideration for that closed session.
Okay.
As far as wanting to do things uniform and potential future efforts.
Okay. Yeah. For the damages and closeout for all that. Okay. Yep. That sounds good. I don't have anything else for construction, so I guess with that, I believe the next agenda item would be the pay application. So we can move on to that unless there's any other questions.
Hearing none, I would look to consider the pay application.
Just briefly on this, was a significant amount of work done within the last month that's included on here. Majority of it was that remainder of the 42-inch pipe and all the 36-inch pipe, and then some associated work. We have been on site regularly to monitor this, and so would recommend approval of the pay application number 6.
Recommendation, do we have a motion for approval of pay application 6?
Everything looks satisfactory to you?
Yeah, I mean, there's, as I mentioned, like with the grading, there's frost stuff that is not possible to be addressed now. We've indicated to the contractor that, this is gonna be on the punch list and this will need to be done. But as far as what we're paying for, that's our expectation of, well, we obviously have the ongoing punch list that'll need to be addressed in the spring, so.
I would make a motion for pay application number 6. Partial payment.
Motion for approval of payment, pay app number 6 from Helmers.
Support.
Support offered by Jeff Loring. Any discussion concerning the payment application? Hearing none, those in favor of approval of the application pay app, signify with aye, please. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We have approval. Last item for this joint district is adjournment.
Motion?
Motion by DeBoer for adjournment.
Support.
Support from Schulte. Any discussion concerning adjourning? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjournment signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. We have 6 minutes till our 9:30 identified time for joint drainage district number 2.
We do have later on the Osceola board's agenda for the wetland project later this morning, so we'll be back here for that. So we'll see everyone and talk with you then.
Thank you. You still there?
Yeah, just trying to figure out. What the other number was.
Thanks, Jared. Cut them off. You don't need the list anymore. That's correct, but we could have general discussion. Okay? We'll talk over. We'll talk over them.
Okay.
We're gonna do our general discussion of board and committee reports, so I just wanna let you know if you wanna mute yours until 7 or 9:30, then that's fine.
Okay, you can do that.
Thank you.
4 minutes, do we want to re-enter
You are
regular
muted.
meeting and address things, or?
I had an LETC meeting, which is a Region 3 Local Emergency Planning Committee meeting at the Northwest Iowa Planning and Development. I attended with Mike Arendt, who is our emergency manager here in Dickinson County. We planned out the use of grant funds for training, hazard mitigation, and all the things that we need to be prepared for in case of emergency. I also met with Dave Rowley to talk about things that are coming up, his perspective as a state rep on mental health and the things that are going with the state taking over.
Are you the controlling county for joint 2 or not? We are, even though that work is done in their county, right?
Yeah, it's a different engineer.
Yeah.
In O'Brien County, we received a petition, they received a petition for work in their county, and they use a different engineer than we do. So.
I don't recall how is controlling county determined.
The most land in there, and I think the most land in the district, and.
Are we do on joint 2?
Evidently.
O'Brien will be the controlling county for that one,
Well,
won't
we
they?
looked that up.
If not? Really?
I already been saw that we were on the road here, we had a pile of stuff. Buried. Keith, you know what the biggest complaint I had about that, all that new paving? What was my biggest complaint?
Slick when it's wet.
No, that wasn't, they didn't pick up the road closed signs.
Well, they had to have those out there for a long time.
Well, I tried to explain.
Temporary striking,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, I tried to explain, well, why don't they pick them up, they're gonna get snowed under, I said, well, that's their problem. Everybody that I've talked to about that road, it's, how come they didn't pick up those things?
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
I had a couple people ask me that, and I told them, I says, until it's completely done, they have to.
Yeah. I don't know why that would upset people so bad, but.
I don't know, nobody called them during the whole project anyway.
No.
And the road wasn't officially closed.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's closed to through traffic.
Well, that's what one guy said, well, I just drive around it, I said, well, that's okay. That's okay.
Did you explain that, your insurance is no good if something happens?
Well, it's closed to through traffic, not closed to traffic.
But your insurance company would still raise Cain with you.
They might.
Anyway.
When you
Those
got
are pretty darn
the
good cookies.
new cap coming.
Well, so it's gonna be in next year's budget. So this was the quote. So we will order it. Mike said he'll tell us September, so we'll probably get November. How it works. But this then allows us to put it in the budget.
Is the John Deere in Melbourne?
It's the Melvin one. It's been a horrible machine the whole life of it. And then we were actually gonna trade off a cat because we have another cat that's older than that John Deere. And then just like a week or two ago, the transmission started coming out. And it's like, I'm not putting 45 grand into another transmission machine. So we just talked to Cat, and they basically knocked about 20 grand off what they were gonna get for the trade on the other machine.
Take it as is?
As is, and they said they already got a buyer for it. So somewhere, someone's got a machine with a transmission that's fine, they're gonna mix and match.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna spend money to fix that machine.
You are unmuted.
She's not here right now, but we should be able to proceed.
All right, sounds good.
We will enter Joint Drainage District 2 meeting. First item listed is consideration or approval of the agenda. Is there interest in approving the January 14,
This is Helmers,
2025
I'll
agenda?
make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Helmers for approval of the agenda.
Morrison can second.
Support from Wormerson. Any discussion concerning the agenda? Hearing none. Those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We have 2 sets of minutes for consideration. Is there action that would like to be taken on the September 17 minutes?
Clark from Dickinson County, I'll move we accept the December 17 minutes.
Motion by Clark.
Support by Helmers.
Support by Helmers. Any discussion concerning the September 17 minutes as presented? Hearing no discussion, those in favor of approval of September 17 minutes signify with aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. We also have November 26th minutes for consideration.
Morrison moves to approve.
Motion for approval by Wormerson.
Schulte, support.
Support from Mike Schulte. Any discussion concerning November 26 minutes? Hearing none, those in favor of approval of the November 26 minutes signify with aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We have those minutes approved as well. Next item is Joint 2 DNO Branch 60 informational meeting. Dickinson County, do you have the engineer present with you?
We do. Mr. Klingbeil is with us.
Would you
He's in
mind,
the house.
would you mind proceeding with running the meeting from there with him present?
That would be fine.
Thank you.
Alan?
Yeah, morning, everybody. I guess one thing just before we get started, in Osceola County, are there any landowners represented at the courthouse there that are landowners within this area affected?
No.
We have no one present. We had a call earlier that we couldn't identify who it was and weren't clear what they might have been calling for. But no, nobody present.
Okay, thank you. And then Jordan, is there anybody else on the Zoom? Okay.
I did, and I tried calling, didn't answer. So.
But yeah, and the unfortunate thing, I guess, is that the intent of this was to be an informational meeting primarily for the landowners affected by this. And the letters were sent out to the landowners that drain into this branch 60 tile of joint drainage district number 2, Dickinson and Osceola County. And so if you have that letter, and maybe Jordan, could you pull that up on the screen?
Do you have that letter
So
that we sent out to the landowners?
if you've got the report in front of you, basically on the last page, there's a map. And that's maybe the easiest thing to reference, at least to start to kind of get our bearings of what we're talking about. The Joint Drainage District 2, most of the land in that overall district is actually in Osceola County. And Osceola County is the control county for the drainage district. This branch 60 tile system, if you're looking at that map, there's lots of colors and stuff, but that area is the area drained by the branch 60 tile and its laterals. So you can, there's the county line is right there, so you can see most of the tile, that the area drained is in Dickinson County, but there is also some in Osceola County. And basically how this got started was towards the lower end of that branch 60 tile, there were several blowouts, and so a request was made for repairs, and that's also in the letter. And basically the comment made in the repair request was that 18-inch tile has collapsed multiple times, will likely require approximately 1,000 feet of replacement to remedy. Typically, if there's just a broken tile spot, someone like me doesn't, or Jacobson Westergaard doesn't typically get involved in those. Those are just handled, at the county level. But I think with the 1,000 feet, that sounds like potentially a much larger project. And so, you guys had me take a look at the situation. And I've got kind of just a letter report with some preliminary look at it. We did do a site visit, and we found 4 different tile blowouts. We talked with the landowner. He said that there's been breaks on that tile in recent years that have also been repaired. And the contractor, we talked to the contractor that previously had done some fixes, Rocky Marco, and he said that he had, when he fixed it, basically dug up the tile blowout spot and then looked up and down the tile both directions with a flashlight and saw, basically the tile is cracked and in poor condition. So it looks like this tile, particularly the lower end of this branch 60 tile, is in poor condition. And now then the question that follows is, okay, what do we do about it? And obviously at an absolute minimum, those blowouts need to get fixed. But at some point, if the tile's falling apart, you kind of got to think about, all right, at what point are we better off just doing a more significant replacement or potentially an improvement? And that's one thing that I looked at, just knowing that the district tile that were put in 100 years ago, typically they weren't designed to handle what we're asking of them today and for the last several decades. And that's what this map is basically showing, is that we look at the drainage coefficient, which is a kind of a design standard for agricultural drain tile. And you can see that a lot of this system has got drainage coefficients, probably 0.18 inches per day. up to the highest of 0.29 inches per day. And really for the last several decades, kind of the minimum standard has been a ½ inch per day. And what that means is that tile can take the equivalent of a ½ inch of water over the entire area that it drains in a day. And kind of even where that comes from is sort of, okay, if you have a ½ inch of free water, it actually in the soil that can soak up, a fair amount of depth and saturate the soil. And so if you want to get water out of the soil so that the roots can breathe of the crop, that's sort of some of where that comes from. In any case, as you can see, this tile system as it sits is significantly undersized. And so basically the questions that I'm asking are, at some point you got to think about, well, if this tile's falling apart, do we just keep patching it? Or do we look at just doing a more significant replacement like the repair request talked about, like 1,000 feet? Or do we even look at doing an improvement? And what we kind of find is if you're going to be digging tile in, upsizing the pipe a couple sizes, you can get significantly more capacity in the tile for not that much more cost. Once there's a lot of cost just digging the trench and installing the tile. So that's kind of the backdrop to what we're talking about. Just a couple other items. So one thing, obviously we haven't run a camera up the tile or anything like that. And this is obviously an informational meeting, we're not deciding whether to construct something today, but that's something that could be considered, is to basically dig up the tile at different locations and then run a camera and get a video basically to try to evaluate more closely the actual condition of the tile. Obviously, it's got a history of blowouts in recently, so that doesn't. It's probably not in good shape, and that's what the contractor said. But we could run a camera up it to check that as well. If we were going to do a repair, replace the tile, maybe 5,000 feet of it. And so what that would be is from the outlet, essentially, let's see, on that map, if you see that there's section 31 shown, if you just go straight north of there's a 14-inch, it'd be about to there. If we did that as a repair, so you can see there's 20-inch, 18-inch, 16-inch, and 14-inch tile in that area. Well, not all those are commercially available today. So you can, like that 20-inch, you can upsize it to a 24. It's the first size higher commercially available pipe size. And 24-inch versus a 20-inch, that's going to carry more water. But then it goes to an 18, and you still have to use an 18-inch. 16 could go to an 18, the 14 would go to a 15 if we were doing a repair. And I've estimated that cost at $460,000 for the overall project, or $667 per acre on average. And then if we were going to do an improvement to a ½ inch drainage coefficient, it would be more like $560,000. So for an additional $100,000, you could get essentially three times the flow capacity in the tile and bring it up to what's adequate and take care of it for decades to come.
So if we were to scope it next, what's the additional cost to do that?
Yeah, I've got it here. It's 5 to 7,000. And it's of course going to depend on what level of scoping we do. Obviously, it's one thing to just have somebody dig it up and then just get a push camera. But if you start at the outlet and have like a crawler type camera and try to get a video of the whole thing, and then you patch up the spots that you dig up, somewhere 5 to 7,000. And that's a question for today, because I didn't know if people are in agreement that, okay, the tile is undersized and it's a problem and we need to do something about it, then that's an unnecessary additional cost. If there was concerns, okay, let's really see what the condition of the tile is outside of these areas that are blowing out. We could do that. It's just a matter of, is it a worthwhile expenditure, or would that be better off spent on, a new pipe? Let's see here. A few other things. So we would want, if we're doing this, since presumably again the old tile's in poor condition, if we were doing this, we want to just tear that old tile out. And whether that means if it was dry, we just tear that old tile out and put the new tile in the same trench. If it's too wet and they'd be fighting water all the time, the contractor, you might have to install it off to the side, just to the side, and then come back and tear that old tile out and hook any laterals into the new tile. If an improvement was going to be done, so a petition hasn't been filed for an improvement. Basically, I was just bringing this to the attention of everybody. Okay, if we're going to do a repair and spend potentially $460,000, it's probably a good time to evaluate whether the existing tile is adequate and whether it's justified to put in something bigger. But so a petition hasn't been filed. So what I would say is if there was interest in doing an improvement, we would need at least one landowner in this area to sign a petition for an improvement. And then if an improvement was pursued, the other, just to mention to landowners, is that there can be potential issues with wetlands when you do drainage improvements. And that's something through the NRCS. Basically, we would send letters out to the landowners asking for wetland determinations from the NRCS. And if they've got farmed wetlands on the property and we do an improvement, that could get them in trouble with the, make them ineligible for the farm program, depending on how they handle it. Obviously, if you don't farm it, you're fine. Or if you purchase mitigation, you're fine. But that's just something we want to make landowners aware of if an improvement is pursued.
Have you done a further assessment on how much of an impact that might have in an improvement?
I have not. So since the petition hasn't been filed and we're kind of in the early stages, I haven't sent letters out to landowners asking for wetland determinations. And so we can't just go to the NRCS and ask for that. It's the landowners have to give that to us or give us permission to get it from the NRCS. So if we went down that route, that would be a next step that we'd be sending out letters to try to evaluate whether there would be any wetland issues with doing an improvement project. So yeah, right now we don't have any information on the wetland. Another thing, and this is kind of separate from the tile, but we noticed when we were out there that the open ditch, this is at the upper end of the open ditch, it was kind of backed up and had stagnant water. full, not moving. And so we went downstream and found there was a pretty major bank slough that it slid a bunch of dirt basically into the bottom of the channel and created essentially a dam. And that backed up water a long ways. We did forward that on to Bex as they were looking at the FEMA stuff, and presumably that bank slough was occurred during the flooding this spring. So that isn't helping drainage in that area either. Something else we noticed while we were out there. And then the last thing, if this drainage district, joint 2, has never been reclassified. So right now it's all under one large assessment schedule. So, using that to try to figure out what different parcels might pay for, if we did a $460,000 repair, I'd say we need to do reclassification. And it's up to the boards, but we could do a pre-classification to try to help landowners get a better idea of what they might be looking at paying for a repair or an improvement. Yeah, so those are kind of the main things that kind of threw a lot of information out there at once. But are there any questions at this point?
Well, I'd like to hear what our landowner thinks of all this. Would you step up to the microphone?
Sure.
I received the property from my great uncle Clyde Weaver, so I'm just here to kind of get educated a little bit and see what's going on. I never had any tile maps when I acquired. I'm not opposed to it. Obviously, improvements needed. And in June, after the flood, I went out there and noticed the gravel roads had just taken a beating up there. Obviously, ground's not soaking up water and expelling like it should. So I'm not here to dispute anything. I'm just trying to get educated and know what's going on. And I'm obviously on board with any kind of improvement. I'm not the operator, but just the landowner. I'll probably hold on to the property for a long time. But if I could just ask, I'm assuming the blue is what is going to be repaired. I'm not really up to speed on like what a tile map.
So yeah, the blue is the branch 60 tile. Okay. And then the black ones are the laterals. So we wouldn't be, when we could talk about that more, but basically I was thinking not do that whole blue line.
Okay.
Basically stop about a quarter mile short of the upper end.
Okay. So this would be, I'm in Excelsior up there, 131, this is me. So are these county tiles this with the laterals, or does that belong to me? I don't, like say I never required a tile map or anything, so I really don't, I didn't know what was out there. There was an inlet in the ditch on the south side, so I knew there was something coming out of the farm, but, so I didn't know if that belonged to that county tile, is that?
No, those are going to the county.
Okay.
Those are drainage district tile.
And this is just private tile?
So that's not actually a tile, that's like a break, a watershed break.
Okay.
So like, this side of it drains this way, and this side
Oh,
of it
okay.
drains this
Okay.
way.
Okay, because I have this little waterway over there that drops into the ditch, and then I think there's an inlet there, so is that just the ditch picking up and going into a county? Okay. Like I say, I'm not here to argue, I'm just trying to get educated and know what's going on when things come to me. So, okay, that's all I was wondering. So there would be no repairs in my set. Okay. Like I say, I just had a little trouble understanding that from the manuscript, so. Nope, that's all the question I have for right now. I guess I just get information, try to show up and know what's going on.
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for sending. I thought maybe there'd be other people here that know more than me as far as landowners, so I did too.
We did too.
So I'm the only one apparently.
Well, one question I'd ask you is, do you think we should run a camera this time?
I'm not a public kind of guy. I would be on board with an improvement. It'll take me forever to pay for it, not being an operator, but I guess if the tile's in that bad a shape, and I'm very familiar with farm ground and tile, I just didn't know what was in mine, but after 100 years, I'd say that clay tile's probably in pretty rough shape. Right. And I just, like, say I went to check on the property after the flooding, and I bet it took me a half hour to get to it, washed out roads, and so I would say there's a lot to be gained by an improvement with the wild weather. When you get 5 inches of rain, I mean, that's a lot of water. So is the proposed, it would be able to maybe take an inch a day if they did improvement?
Good. Yeah, basically the improvement that I had, the cost estimate was for a half inch a day.
Okay.
But we can, typically, a lot of times we look at maybe providing different options. You can do a half inch per day. Typically, we're between a half inch and an inch per day.
Okay.
With current drainage improvement projects.
Yeah. So none of this that has problems. Like, my operator hasn't said anything. I just didn't know what was being repaired. I was just a little lost on it, was all.
Right. Not that we've been made aware.
Okay.
We didn't canvass the entire tile system. It was specifically what we were notified of, this branch 60 tile.
Okay. I guess as far as right now, that's the only question I would have. I'm just here to learn today.
So you're favoring an improvement?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I guess I don't want my neighbors to run me up the flagpole because,
Right.
I kind of thought, my operator's Dave Granster, I kind of thought he'd be there because he owns a fair amount in this watershed. I expected him to be there, and I guess I'm not opposed to it. I don't operate, so it will take me a long time to pay for it, but I guess if you're going to keep it for a long time, if you're looking at more trouble down the line, I guess that's kind of the way I think, though, with everything. I'm not, do you want to revisit it several times as it keeps breaking? And, I'm kind of a rip the Band-Aid off kind of guy and, make it right and never, because obviously after this kind of repair, it would never need to be touched again, I don't assume.
Hopefully not for those.
Yeah, hopefully I wouldn't be contributing to it, so. Right. But I guess, I'm assuming the labor, whether, no matter what size of tile you put in, you're only paying for the upgraded tile, I'm assuming. I mean, you're still digging the trench.
Yeah, there's a little bit more potentially with maybe a wider trench or handling
Sure.
other stuff, but the labor's pretty simple.
Yeah, if everybody's out there and digging and, okay. Yeah, that's all I wanted. Like I said, I didn't know if it was going through my property. I just didn't quite understand the map. But I guess I wouldn't say I'm voting on anything. I don't know how it goes. Do you need everyone's approval before you do an improvement, or?
Yeah, we have to have a formal hearing.
Okay.
And have a formal vote.
Okay. So
we're not at that point.
Okay. So this is just informational. So okay. Well, that's why I'm here. Like I say, get educated on what's going on, and then the next thing that shows up, I'll understand it a little better. But I really thought there'd be more people from my neighborhood here because it's kind of a big deal. I mean, you would think people are paying for stuff, they'd be a little more interested in it or know what's going on. But like I say, I don't want to step out of line because like I say, I don't want to make any enemies out of any of my neighbors in case nobody wants to be on board with it. I guess I don't want any hard feelings toward me either right out of the chute, but. Like I say, I'm just here to get educated, and I appreciate the information.
Okay. Well, thank you for your ideas and questions.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess if the engineer thinks, it would be a waste of time sending the camera up on 100-year-old tile, I mean, I can appreciate that because that money can go a lot further on better things, towards the labor of the grand project.
Yeah, that was my concern anyway. If we've already had several breaks and has been repaired in the past, and the contractor has used that pipe at least where the breaks are at, and all that cracked. I don't expect to continue to have problems. At some point, you just got to say, well, is it time to think about replacing this with something either the same size or bigger?
Yeah, I can appreciate that too. There's no sense throwing good money after bad. If that tile's 100 years old, obviously it's not good if it's collapsing here and there. If it's all the same age, I mean, I can't believe it'd be any better anywhere else after 100 years of being in the ground.
There's strange things.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's all I have for the moment. I guess I'll just take in the rest of it, and could I ask any questions after the meeting if I still have any?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Well, Colin, without more information, I'm wondering if you should prepare repair and improvement and the cost, and then we hold a public meeting for the landowners.
So,
Mr. Leopold, Mr. Klingbeil's indicated that we would need a petition for an improvement. I'm not interested in arguing, but my reading of the drainage code indicates that we shall do a repair, and it reads that if it's deemed, oh, I should have had my finger on it. But to me, the boards have the leeway to request the improvement, and that starts the process that landowners would be informed and included in. So I'm not opposed to awaiting a petition, but I don't see that it's a requirement. When the board determines that an improvement is necessary, desirable, and feasible, the board shall appoint an engineer to proceed with the improvement consideration. So.
yeah, I know the code. I looked at that code too, and I thought, well, that does seem to give the board some leeway. I think the petition thing on my end was kind of out of an abundance of, well, typically, before there's an improvement, there's a petition filed for one, and so I didn't want to be, accused of trying to push an improvement when nobody's asking for one.
Agreed. I just think that improvement is used in establishing a new district, and that's when a petition is required. But if an existing district looks to improve, it seems like it's a different approach, but that's a non-lawyer's opinion.
If we had any concern, we could ask for a legal opinion on that, but I kind of read it the same way as you. I just thought, well, if somebody would sign a petition, then it would make it really, there'd be no murkiness at all. And I think I could talk with the gentleman that filed the request for repairs. I've been in communication with him, and he's been, basically his opinion was that, okay, if it needs to be bigger and we need to do a repair anyways, it's probably best to do an improvement. So I don't know it would be an issue to have him sign a petition, and so maybe that eliminates that issue.
How do you see us going forward, Jason?
I have my opinion. I doubt it's the way it would go, so I'm content waiting for a petition.
Okay.
I think pursuing the gentleman is a great start, because I think he's the one that said it's broken in several places, he knows. And the difference in funding here is pretty close, one of the closer ones I've seen between an improvement and a repair. So it makes sense to at least pursue the idea.
You did mention reclassification. Is reclassification factored into the estimate on improvement or not? It's not in either of them?
Yeah. Yes, it's factored in.
And it would be additional to the repair?
It's actually factored into the repair as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
We typically like to do reclassification just so people know where they're at. And I think that's probably why you put it into both of them. I guess I'd like to move forward with at least that, and we would reclassify so everybody knows where they're at. That makes sense?
Well, would you reclassify it under repair or improvement? For improvement or what's
I can kind of address that. If we were gonna do a pre-classification, so nothing formal, it'd be part of the formal engineer's report that we have a formal hearing on. We could have that both ways fairly easily, because we're really talking about the same length and same reach of tile. It's just a matter of applying a different cost basis to it. So it really wouldn't be hardly any extra work to do a pre-classification, have the numbers for both a repair and an improvement.
But the wetland could impact an improvement far more than repair.
True. Although, I don't know in Osceola County, there's some counties around that have adopted a resolution that says, okay, if we're doing a drainage district improvement project, the drainage district, and there's farm wetlands, the drainage district will pay up to X amount per acre for mitigation. I don't believe something like that exists in Dickinson County. Is there anything like that in Osceola County?
I remember considering it. I don't know that we proceeded with it.
Okay, so the wetland thing then wouldn't technically, I mean, whether there is or not wouldn't affect the project costs. However, it could have effects on the landowners who are basically make up the drainage district. So that's the wetland thing, is you don't want to inadvertently cause undue hardship on the landowners that you're trying to represent and help out by doing a drainage improvement. Yeah. So I guess to me, I would recommend doing if we're gonna go to that next step, I would recommend doing pre-classification, because right now, the only schedule they have available is the one for the entire drainage district. So that wouldn't be any help at all figuring out how much they would pay for this. And then, let's see. Yeah, that's kind of the main thing, is that they don't have a good way to figure out what they would pay, other than, like you saw in this letter report, I say an average of X dollars per acre. Well, that's just an average. Some people could double that, some people probably half that. And so for landowners to be able to be well informed and make a decision on whether or not to support the project, I think better cost numbers would have.
Is Ryan County waiting for us?
They called them and let them know that we're running behind.
Well, I'd be in favor of doing pre-classification on it. On a repair, we've got to do a repair one way or the other.
It's figured into both costs.
And it's figured in both funds, so we might as well get the pre-classification underway and move from there. And see if the petition gets signed. Well, yeah, if no petition gets signed, we can do the improvement. If somebody signs the petition, then we'll have to consider that additional cost. Right.
Is that an actionable item, and is that a motion?
Yeah, I would make that a motion, proceed with pre-classification and
Morrison second.
There's a motion by Clark. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I was just gonna say, it's been moved and seconded to go with reclassification.
Is there
And
discussion?
then once that file is submitted, then we can set a time and date to meet with the landowners again.
Correct. Yeah.
I have only one question. How many landowners does this involve? Anybody know?
It's not very many. Or is it something like 10?
I only mailed out 8 letters
Yeah.
from Dickinson.
About 10.
And then there'd be a few from Osceola, so yeah.
Sir, what is your name?
After.
Okay.
I'm your environmental, I have a share of the member, Ethan Morgan. So
Okay.
I'm just paying you guys.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, got your marching orders.
Is there any other, so we're not doing the camera, I just wanna be clear.
No.
Okay. And then I'll talk with that landowner about filing a petition. And then if a petition is filed, obviously I would be basically more formalizing this report into an improvement report, and then we'd have a formal hearing based on it. If the petition does not get filed, then I guess we would have a hearing on repairs and a formal hearing, and then to make a decision on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you gonna do both regardless, depending on what the outcome of what the landowners are wanting though too, even if the petition is signed?
So I guess trying to think about all the possible routes this could go, but so I anticipate a petition being signed. If one does not get signed, I think my opinion would be maybe we should ask legal counsel whether we have to legally have a petition for an improvement, and if we do not, then the board, as was previously discussed, has the discretion to decide whether or not we should look at doing an improvement, and that could be included in the report.
There's so many drainage projects going on, but I feel that there was a time where we were told that a petition did not have to be signed for an improvement if it was conceded with the board of supervisors. But we need verbiage on that to see, but there's just so much with drainage that.
Yeah.
We do have another call we need to place. Can we adjourn, or can Osceola County drop off as you guys finish those details?
I got one more comment. If we don't get a petition, what is the point? If none of the landowners are interested in an improvement, why do we want to push it?
My answer to that would be because we're choosing to spend $460,000 for an undersized
We don't
system.
necessarily have to spend $460,000.
We have to do a repair.
That doesn't mean repairing the whole thing.
The repair was $460.
Replacing
Well, I don't think
original
that's what they
size.
were intending, but that's just my opinion.
Is there anything further, or would we look to adjourn?
What was that, Jason?
Is there anything further, or could we consider adjournment? We had a 10 o'clock we're supposed to make a call for as well.
Yeah. I think we've kicked the cob around about, we can adjourn this part of the meeting.
Okay.
Need a motion to adjourn the formal hearing? We do. I'll make that motion. Wormerson will second. Steve Clark moves, Wormerson seconds to adjourn. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, we are officially adjourned at 10:13.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your participation.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Rochelle.
Yep, see you later. Okay.
Hi, Rochelle.
Hi, sorry about the delay, but we're ready.
That's okay.
We're ready if you are.
And we're controlling.
Ready.
Yeah, we're controlling.
Okay. My understanding is Osceola County is the controlling county.
That's fine with us, I believe.
Well, I don't want that to be the case, but if it is, we'll proceed with that.
We looked really hard for us not to be, but there's no evidence of the case, so I think we're it.
Then,
And thank you for your honesty on that. We're all here and ready.
okay, then we would look to first approve the agenda for January 14 for the Joint Drainage District number 6. Do we have a motion for approval?
I'll make that motion, Helmers.
Vandenhull makes the second on that motion.
So, motion by Helmer, support from Vandenhull to approve January 14th's agenda. Any discussion concerning today's agenda?
None here.
Hearing none here. All those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. First item listed is consider acceptance of a filed petition for repairs. Do you guys have anything to share concerning what was received?
Jason, you're looking at what I sent up to you folks, I'm assuming?
Yes, they
We've
are.
got a copy of the petition signed here, yes.
Do you think that's a repair, or is he looking at an improvement when he says larger tile?
Improvement.
An improvement, yeah.
Seems like an improvement is a consensus here.
And that's what we're thinking too. I mean, it's not real descriptive, but that's kind of where we were leaning. I don't think we really have a lot of choice other than to accept the petition, do we?
I don't think so, then it would be consider an engineer to appoint, correct?
That's what we think, but you guys are more the experts than we.
We've been through it, but doesn't necessarily make us experts.
This is maybe our third rodeo.
Would there be interest in the motion to approve or accept the petition for improvement?
I'll make that motion. Dan Frederickson.
May I clarify, I said that the agenda says repairs. Do we want to identify the motion as repairs or improvements? Sorry, Dan.
That sounds good to me. And/or.
We have a motion for acceptance of the petition for a repair and/or improvement.
Support that.
We have support from Schulte here. Any further discussion on the petition? And a motion to accept. Hearing none, those in favor of approval of the acceptance of the petition signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
I will abstain.
Helmers identifies he's abstaining. The next item would be consider approval of a drainage engineer.
We have been using Bolton and Mank here for our last couple that we're involved with. You use ISG?
Correct.
We have primarily, yes, or almost exclusively.
And you're well satisfied with them, I would assume?
I'd make it, this show.
Our engineer's office has indicated that if we're controlling county, there would be a preference to use ISG.
This is Schulte, I'll make a motion for ISG.
We do have a motion by Schulte to identify ISG for drainage engineer on Joint Drainage District 6.
Yeah. This is McDowell, I'll second that.
We have support from McDowell. Motion and support to identify ISG. for drainage engineer on this project. Any further discussion?
Sounds like you're having more fun over there than we are.
That wasn't in our room, but yeah, that'd be a better place to be. You should know if I'm here, that's not the case, Barb. Hearing no further discussion on the motion, all those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
And I'll abstain again.
And Helmers again abstains. Okay. To me, that accomplishes our agenda. Anything further from O'Brien County?
I would assume that we'll probably have a face-to-face one of these days once the engineer gets going. Would that be correct?
We can do it either way. We've had them do reports over the phone like this, but face-to-face could be arranged as well.
Just kind of see how involved this gets, maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. We will reach out to ISG and we will keep you guys informed.
Okay.
You need a motion to adjourn?
I would.
I'll make that. Frederickson?
Dan, okay. Motion for adjournment? Any support?
Support.
Support from Schulte. Discussion concerning adjourning the meeting. Hearing none, those in favor of adjournment signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All right, again, our apologies for delay, but thank you, O'Brien County.
That's okay. You put us back on schedule.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. All right.
Just a few minutes later.
We're behind schedule.
All right, we be interested in restarting, ending suspension. Where did you want
to
re-enter regular session?
Enter the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Helmer, support from Loring to re-enter our regular meeting.
Get that.
Discussion. Hearing none, those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We will be in a regular meeting. We'll have the museum's report.
Aye.
My apologies, but I'm going to step downstairs briefly.
Yeah. Hey, hello. Got enough everything? I think so.
I am Janet Stoffern and I represent for the BOS. I represent the Coliseum and here we have some of our board members here to make a request for funding for our institutions. And before I get started, I'd just like to pass around a couple things. And I think this is really appropriate because you've talked about moving the World War I Museum or the World War I monument, and it's over 100 years old. The dedication was June 3rd, 1920. I'm just going to pass that around. So it's a very special monument. And also another book that was promoted in the same time as this monument was the roll call, the Osceola County Roll Call, which made a list of all the soldiers that were actively involved and those who were killed in World War I. So I can pass this around too. McCollum Museum is making a request for security, for additional security for our museum in terms of lighting, security lighting around the museum. Currently, the only lighting that we have are 3 kind of dimly lit lights on the south side of the museum at the entrances to the museum. 1 at the U shape and 2 at the entrances. We have no lighting on the east side, nor the west side, although there is some lighting from the lighting of the park there. But it's very dim, and no lighting on the north side. So we are in the process of looking for bids for lighting. And so we are requesting $5,000 for the security lighting around the museum. We have quite a few valuable items in the museum, and we just really need to do what we can as a museum to protect them. And I think it begins with better lighting. So we're making a request for $5,000 for wall mount exterior lighting. Does anybody have anything to add?
I just want to add, thank you for the donations of the received last year, year before, to get the calf renovated. And that turned out really, really well over there. Appreciate that. So to keep it in good shape for hopefully another 75 years. We'll see. And does not contain arsenic, so we're safe there. So that was good to know. And we've done some security cameras in the museum now, so they can always on camera all the time. And if there is another security system, is it
Midwest alarm monitors the fire.
So she's right. There's a lot of valuable items in the museum, and of course they're non-replaceable. So our job is to protect them as well. So appreciate the help you guys do.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the work you guys do with the museum.
It's a fun thing to do.
I'm Lois Marco from Ochibu from the Tracy House Museum. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for your past support and funding that you've given us. We appreciate your that you have the same vision that we have to protect the history of not only Ochibu but Osceola County altogether. We had kind of a busy year this year. We finished up the barn and got that kind of decorated up and set. We moved things out of the ag building into there and freed up some space so that we could kind of make some areas and stuff. And got that going. And then in May, we hosted the fourth graders. They came over as they always do and seemed like they enjoyed that. So I'm glad that they're able, the school utilizes the stuff here right here in Osceola County and doesn't send them somewhere else for some of their field trips. We also had them do posters, and we patriotic posters, and we put those in the window of the grocery store for Memorial Day. And a lot of people commented on how they were happy to see that kind of stuff going on. Days of Old was busy as usual. We had some live music. We had a gal that grew up in Ochibu, and she has a band, and so her and her husband and her daughter sang for us for about an hour or so. And we served homemade ice cream again and had the pulled pork sandwiches that we sold to kind of help raise money. Our big project this year is going to be for the Tracy House needs a new. We started out with just the foundation. Well, you know how that is when you start working on that, it just goes from one thing to the next to the next. So we will be redoing the windows and a lot of the walls were old plaster. As soon as we started digging around, moving things around, it pretty well started falling apart. So we were doing that. And if we have the plaster down, we might as well put some wiring in. So windows, doors, floors, a little bit of everything. So if you go past there now, it's pretty much just sitting out in the open. We found out there were pretty much 4 big rocks, and that's all it was sitting on. So some of it had shifted because of the frost, I'm sure, and stuff like that. So there was one whole corner was just hanging out with nothing. So kind of told us why the roof was starting to sag. We have been kind of working on we have a guy that's rebuilding all of our windows and doors for us. Very, very historic-minded guy. So he's getting all old wood and stuff if he can't redo it. So he gets some of his old wood. Yeah, we've been working on that. We are working on it with the TIF stuff on that. I think we're down to where we have to talk to the bank and get figure out how they want to set the loan up with the city. And once they get that done, then I think we'll be good to go and start to get that done. So that's gonna be our project, like I said, right now. I'm not sure. We'll have stuff for the fourth graders to see, but they won't be able to go through the house, obviously, so. But other than that, like I said, thank you very much for your past support for us. And appreciate it again, so thank you.
I represent the BOS Museum at Ashton, and Bill Hancock told me on the phone this morning that he was feeling ill, and he sounded very ill. So
That happened last year too, didn't it?
that was 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago.
He came to the wrong, he waited downstairs because he thought we were meeting in a room down there or something.
Oh.
And we were meeting in the courtroom. And I sat there, where's that guy going to show up? Anyway, this time he's got a real legitimate excuse because he sounded terrible. Yeah, let me be the third to thank you for your support. We really appreciate your efforts on doing that. I went together I don't have a good picture, but these are the things I send out when people give us a donation. And the two pictures kind of go together, but it'll give you a little idea of what I'm talking about. And then also this letter I send out every year to get some support. You can read the first couple paragraphs there. What we did with the monies we received from donations and contributions last year was, as you probably know, Ashton wasn't always where it is. It was located somewhere southwest town. And when the railroad came through and needed water for the steamers, they built a water tower there, and that was just torn down about a year ago now. And so our building, pretty old, I think they tell me one of the buildings that we just tore down right lately was one of them was moved from the old location to the new location. But anyway, our building is showing its age, and so what we did last year with the money, we completely redid the front. It was leaking inside, and so we tore the balcony off and put a smaller balcony on, and also replaced all the windows and made the doors so that the museum was handicap accessible, and also poured the town pours new sidewalk so that you can roll right in if you happen to have a wheelchair or something like that. So that's what's happening. The balcony was supported by poles, and of course the man who scoops our snow hated that. So we again our new balcony is smaller and is supported from the top down, and it's hanging instead. So we're pretty well done with that. If you go there now, you'll see that we have to resave the signs that says the BOS on the front, and we got to put those up yet. But now we're going to start on the other end of the building. There's a walk-in door there, and it doesn't fit hardly anymore because you're having just all kinds of problems. When we did this project, we tore 4 out 12 feet back because it was just shot. Because I think probably the leakage is just the so we're going to do that on the back side now and replace the door there, and probably going to have to replace some flooring on also. And so we know what it's like to move stuff around, because if you take 12 feet, we're able to shove most of the collection back far enough to get that new floor in. So we're asking for the funds for that. I have one bid from Kunz Construction. They've been the fellows that would, along with the Boldwell Paint and Glass out of Sheldon, have pretty much done the work for us. Our new bid is right at $10,000 to fix up that back end. So I guess that's about all I can tell you. We really appreciate your efforts, and I think I got my membership letter. Did you get it back? Okay. We did raise about 4,000 through great numbers who hopefully help us out, which is really good for us down our size, we think. Other than that, if you got any questions, thank you for your time.
Do you want that letter back? Larry, do you want that letter back?
Oh, no,
That's just a copy.
If you like a copy, you keep it, yeah.
You got 2 minutes, Beth.
You know what? I made a resolution this year, and it's real hard to keep it. And it's a full moon this week, and it's the year of the snake. So we got a lot of things going one way or the other. Might want to pass this around, and he might be able to help us identify this.
It's long before my time.
Kind of that vintage. That was just donated to us.
Was that a date?
He was expecting this, so I had to come up with something. We had to even get Mike in on this.
Did somebody graduate with me?
I can't think who that would be. No, that was just a recent donation, and on the back, it said, it's the, what does it say? It has to be the creamery board.
Yeah, it has to be, the creamery board.
And that was a Rickers photograph, and Rickers had a studio. Actually, they started out in Sibley. So it's pretty cool, but we'd really like to find out who those people are. No relatives? Okay. Anyway, so from the Ag Pavilion, we've had a super busy year getting everything put in place. We opened up with our big celebration of 100 years and just opening it up to the community. We kind of had a setback now because our carpenter has been laid up. So hopefully in a couple more months he'll be able to get back there. We need to finish the house, and we need to finish the service station. And, things always fall into place. And I've said this time and time again, we needed some shelving. Well, guess what came into the beginning? Some wonderful shelving that I just got. So anyway, we're trying, to come up with lots of activities to get people involved out there, and kids too. We've been invited to participate in lots of things coming up. So you'll be seeing more of us in the paper and on Facebook and so forth. And speaking of, we have a fundraiser coming up in 2 weeks. So if anybody wants to buy tickets, I have them. And should be a fun night. We are continuing to use money for UV lighting to help protect the artifacts that were there. And that came so true to me because when we did the sesquicentennial, we had some garments in the old Marguerite building. Thinking it was facing north, we thought, oh, that'll be safe. Well, when it came time to take them out, several of them had faded. And so we need to get UV protection on all of the windows to protect our artifacts. And you've noticed some machinery put on the south side. So what we did there, we got some crushed concrete and crushed asphalt and made a pad on the south side there. And so our next project is to put some edging on there to keep the grass where the grass needs to be and keep the crushed concrete and so forth where it needs to be. It's packed really well. We moved some things on there with a tractor and it didn't move it at all, so it's a great product for us. And so we hope to continue with that as well. Do you have any questions?
With that picture, talk to Stan Clausen or Jerry Johnson.
Yeah, Jerry's on my list. And also Marcia Massa. I thought about her. She worked for me. But
Stan Clausen worked there for a lot of years too.
Yeah, I know him too. So that's a good idea. Thank you. And I guess speaking for myself and our board, we want to thank you for your support, not only financially, but in promoting the pavilion as well.
I'm gonna give her that back to you.
So thank you.
Everyone. Thank you all. Appreciate your time and your efforts.
So you don't worry too much when I come in.
No. Because I know who's the same age as I am.
Well, Mike and I both have a good time. I decided to be a little nicer this week.
With Stan?
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
That girl gives me more crap.
Must have it coming.
I don't deserve that.
Move back up the list for about 5 minutes. We have a proposal here for mail services. Thing with the House File 718 mandate mailings.
We used them last year and they did a great job for us. It cost the county about $2,700 roughly. Their prices pretty much stayed the same. They went up on penny on everything, and of course postage went up, so that went up like 4 cents. So, I mean, they combined where they can combine into one mailing, and it was nice just to download the file, and they're, you know, everything's mailed within Iowa, so we're very pleased with them.
And if they keep you happy, I'll make a motion to reuse them.
I'll support that.
Motion by Schulte, support from Helmers for approval of the mail services mailing, utilizing their services. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Do we want to take a look at resolutions 23 and 24? Resolution 23, 24, 25 is amending operating transfers.
I messed up on, I should have had them all going to general basic instead of the P&I sinking fund, and I talked to Dave, and he told me this is the best way to handle it, so I'm correcting my error.
Will you go to jail if we don't?
No, I won't go to jail, but we'll give more money in the general basic fund. That's a plus.
Make the motion on resolution 23, 24, 25.
Second it.
Motion by Schulte, support from DeBoer. Discussion concerning resolution number 23, 24, 25, amending operating transfers. Hearing no discussion. Mr. Schulte, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. DeBoer?
Aye.
Mr. Helmers?
Aye.
Mr. Loring?
Aye.
I vote aye. Next, we would look at resolution number 24, operating transfers.
This is the money that we had left in the P&I fund, and we're paying back general basic for monies that we owed him, or owed general basic, so we're just clearing out this fund so we can start earning more interest.
I make a motion for resolution number 24. Second.
Motion by Helmer, support from Loring for approval of resolution 24. Discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Helmers, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Loring?
Aye.
Mr. Schulte?
Aye.
Mr. DeBoer?
Aye.
The chair votes aye. On to discussion on the pay application or await the 9:45 or 10:45. Lost an hour. entertain 10:45. Agenda identifies the Idalls Wetland Project update and discussion. I'd like to start off on that one.
Awesome, sounds good. Well, good morning, everyone. Luke's going to hand out, hopefully you remember seeing these before, but we got new copies of them, just a preliminary site plan for this, and kind of give the board an update on it. Also got Brandon Didman with Idalls here with us today as part of the discussion. And so just to kind of, I guess, get the board back up to speed, a reminder, this is the property, county-owned property that's, it's within Drainage District 64. We kind of had identified it during that project on DD 64 as an area that was just a, I think, 3 or 4 acre county-owned piece that was kind of sitting empty and had kind of gotten overgrown and was in need of some maintenance. We had brought a potential opportunity of doing a wetland development there, and as part of that involvement with Idalls in the state to help accomplish some of their goals with nitrate removal and nutrient reduction. And so what we had previously done was we had the 2080 agreement between the county and Idalls that allowed us to complete the preliminary design of the wetland site and then sort of look into this a little further. And that's something we had completed back in 24, and then in late 24 we had brought this preliminary design to the board as well as Idalls for their review. And Idalls has had an opportunity to review this and look at it a little bit closer. And my understanding is things look pretty good on their end, or they were happy with the preliminary design. And I know there was, one of the big questions we had was, if this is something we're going to proceed with, what does the long-term maintenance and operation look like of the wetland? And so kind of where we're at today is checking back in on this. Now that Idalls had a chance to review the design, talking through what the opportunity might be moving forward, if it's something we want to proceed with, and what that might look like. So I guess before we get into that, any questions on kind of the background of the project or what we had looked at previously for it? Kind of what the intention was that this is a project that the county would facilitate as a wetland development on the county property, but then Idalls through the 2080 agreement would be funding the project, and then kind of the county's responsibility would be if we implemented the project moving forward, that obviously it would be on the county's property, and there would be some sort of an agreement, which I'm sure Brandon can speak to a little more, in place, and then it would be operated in the future. And so kind of how the wetland is designed is actually, it is something that Idalls has done before. It's called a pumped wetland, and so water would through what's called like an agricultural lift station would be pumped out of the drainage ditch into the wetland, and then it would flow through the wetland, be treated in the wetland, remove the nitrates, then flow back into the drainage ditch as well. And so that's kind of what the design looks like. Obviously the pump we're looking at would be solar powered there, so there would be some solar panels there to run the pump to pump the water out of the drainage ditch into the wetland. And so that's kind of the high level summary of the design. Maybe before we go into some of the potential agreements, what that could look like moving forward, is there any questions from the board so far on what the design looks like and what we're looking to do with this project?
So where is it located? I'm not familiar.
Yeah, sorry, I should have I have a different map from earlier in the project, this larger area. This is along Drainage District 64, which would be just southwest of Harris. So I don't know if you can tell on the north side of the plan, or on the top side of the plan, there's the bike trail. I guess I call it a bike trail. I'm not sure. It's the old railroad trail there. So this would be just
a mile and a half west of Harris.
Yeah, and then just south of the highway. So this is kind of, if you look at this is I think it's like a 3 or 4 acre parcel. It is county owned, and it's kind of just out in the middle.
Right there in the corner.
Yeah, it's just out in the middle of the field, and there, to my knowledge, has been kind of no maintenance done to it for, I don't know, indefinitely. I think it's just kind of been sitting there. And so that was kind of the impetus for the project was, can we do something with this property a little more than just leaving it sit? Actually, what was happening is there was a lot of trees overgrowing there, and then we were getting problems with beavers and stuff in the drainage ditch there, and we had some problems during that clean out that kind of caused this. So. So maybe a little more context then, where we're kind of at then is not necessarily today or anything, but we're at a point where we are nearing kind of a decision if it's something we want to do moving forward. I know Brandon's going to outline kind of a couple different options what that could look like. I think from IDOL's perspective, they want to work with the county and do what, the board would be most comfortable with if they want to proceed. It sounds like there's potential to do like a maintenance agreement or an easement for the property. Is that fair to say, Brandon?
Yeah, thanks for having us, appreciate it. It's about a year ago, I think, that we got together and kind of broached this potential site with everyone and had our initial discussion about it. I'm not gonna go into the deep or the extreme details, but just broad picture, the reason why the Department of Agriculture is interested in sites like this is twofold. Number one, we're concerned with meeting the EPA's request to all the states that drain to the Gulf of Mexico that we reduce nitrates leaving the state of Iowa by 45%. And the science of nitrogen reduction is well known. There's bacteria in the soil, and when you cover up the soil with water, you get rid of all the pore spaces in the soil, and you turn that system from an aerobic system to an anaerobic system. In that anaerobic environment, the bacteria actually utilize the nitrogen in the water as their food source, and they respire N2 gas into the atmosphere as a harmless byproduct. We know that agricultural drainage ditches are really high in nitrogen levels because that's where all the field tile drain. The ditches are conduits for the field tile, so if we can pull water out of the ditch and treat it through the wetland, we're going to reduce the amount of nitrates leaving that drainage district ditch. So that's why we're interested in this site. And the reason why we're kind of shifting to sites like this as opposed to the traditional ones that we used to build more regularly is due to permitting constraints. So the Army Corps of Engineers has told us that it's very difficult from their perspective to allow us to continue to build wetlands where the actual drainage ditch is. We used to build wetlands right where the tile would daylight and form the agricultural drainage ditch so that we could impact, the 2,000 acres that would be above that point. We can't build wetlands there anymore because they're requiring us to do stream mitigation. So as a result, if we build this wetland off to the side of the drainage ditch and pump water through it, we don't have to mitigate. So it costs a lot of money to buy the mitigation credits, as much or more than the actual construction of the wetland would cost. So that's why we're avoiding sites like this, and that's how this site came up. And I think Spencer brought it to our attention as your company is the company that was managing the engineering for the county. So at any rate, our engineer looked at it at the Department of Agriculture. He approved the plans. So if we were working with a private landowner, this is the stage of the project where I would negotiate the easement boundary. There's an easement associated with all of our sites. The easement is the area around the wetland that would encompass a storm bounce in a traditional wetland and or provide a buffer area in between the wetland where the row crop was being done. Because we're working with a public entity and it's a government that owns the land, from our perspective at the Department of Agriculture, we really don't have a preference as to whether or not the county would like to sign an easement and protect this area that the wetland would be built on permanently so that it could never change. There'd always be a conservation easement in place. It would be a permanent conservation easement. Or if the county didn't want to go down that road or take that approach, we'd be happy with just the standard maintenance agreement that we would have with anybody that installed one of the practices that we have funding for. So I brought a couple different versions. I brought a version of an example maintenance agreement, and I also brought an example of the easement that we use. We haven't done any maintenance agreements on pumped wetlands yet because the only reason why we would ever do a maintenance agreement would be in a case of a government-owned property. We haven't done any of those yet on government-owned property. But we have done some pumped wetlands on private property. And so the language about the pumps is inside the easement document. The language for the pumps hasn't been incorporated into the maintenance agreement document yet, but we would work through that process before this maintenance agreement will be signed. So you don't have to make a decision at this point. I'm just letting you know that there's two different options. But we do have to have some sort of an agreement in place after the wetland is built in order for us to justify putting the dollars toward this project. So I have 3 copies of each document, and I'll just let you folks pass them around as you'd like.
You said you could follow up and email those over.
Yeah, if there's an email address for the chair or the secretary, I'd be happy to email those documents so that you can email them to everybody and look at them in more detail when I get back to the office today or tomorrow.
I know one of the questions that the board had early on with this, you know, the wetland itself obviously only would operate if the pump was running, pumping water out of the drainage ditch into the wetland. You know, what would happen if the pump didn't run? Well, essentially, the water would drain out of the wetland and the site would just kind of sit like it is today. It'd be generally harmless. There wouldn't be anything wrong with it. But obviously, it's in IDOL's best interest that the pump would run to treat the water to remove the nitrate, and that would be you know, part of the maintenance agreement. Now, I don't know the specifics exactly, Brendan, but like for these pump sites, maybe first question would be like, what's the typical term on like the maintenance agreement that you guys have done? Or I guess you've done, the pump sites have been long-term easements, but what's like the term of the maintenance agreement, and how is the pump typically approached?
Yeah, with all of our wetland projects, whether or not it's a permanent easement or a 30-year easement, we have two different options for private landowners. The maintenance of the actual easement area becomes silent after 30 years. Nobody knows what's going to happen 50 years from now, 60 years from now, that kind of thing. But in that 30-year period, like Spencer said, it would be in the department's best interest if this wetland was actually functioning as a wetland. So we don't expect landowners to pay for, you know, if the pump breaks, if a solar panel becomes defective, it would be in our best interest to replace the structural components for the wetland. If there's any type of maintenance that needs to be done inside the area around the wetland where the tall grass prairie would be, or whatever the planting might be, that would be on the county to continue to maintain that area. So trees that would grow up along any of the structural components of the wetland, you'd want to remove those. If a beaver built a dam out there, you'd want to remove that kind of thing. So the Department of Agriculture would take care of the structural components, and you would take care of the, you know, the daily maintenance of the area around the wetland.
Not to say, I mean, daily maintenance, but it's not, I mean, typically, what do you see landowners like? There's kind of I don't know, I don't want to say how often they check it, but I know typically the Soil and Water Conservation District will take a look at sites.
We have annual reviews. So we have a field employee that goes out and checks all the sites that are completed. And so if that field employee notices that there's some trees growing along, you know, one of the berms, we would contact the landowner and request that those trees be cut down and treated with Fordon or something along those lines.
Yep.
If he notices some sort of structural problem, like there's erosion that's occurring because a flood happened, we would go in and fix that with riprap or however. We wouldn't expect anybody to pay for that. So anything structurally related, the department takes care of. Anything non-structural related, we would ask the landowner to address.
So in terms of like the maintenance, you know, I guess the point I wanted to make on the board is that kind of the county's responsibility would have to be, you know, maintenance of, you know, I would say the biggest thing that I've heard landowners talk about is just if trees were to start just to make sure trees don't grow. And obviously that's, you know, something the county has to consider. I know that the area right now is not really maintained. The trees are growing right now, and if we were to do this as part of the construction, we'd obviously clear all the trees out and everything. But that would be a consideration for the county moving forward, and I don't know how that would best be addressed, or we had mentioned previously, like I don't know how that would look if this was worked into something with county conservation as well. That would be, you know, a possibility. I can't speak for how that would look exactly within the county, but wanted to at least get that information to the board today, see what the initial thoughts and reactions were, and see what the interest was of the board moving forward. I do think the other thing I just wanted to clarify for the board, we kind of talked about before, obviously we have the agreement with the state for the design of the site, and then as far as construction, my understanding from talking with Matt was that the state would fund the construction as well then.
Yeah, it's 100% paid for by the Department of Agriculture, and we already have the 2080 agreement in place with ISG and you folks. So yeah, if you want to move forward with the final design, that would be the next step. Spencer would develop a final design, and then we would ask ISG probably to go through the permitting steps that would be required. If they obtain all the necessary permits, then we would be ready for construction. And it would be publicly bid.
Yeah, correct. So that's kind of what the next steps would look like, but obviously a decision period for the county for if this is something the county's interested in, and then I'm guessing the biggest question would be for the county would be if, the maintenance side of it, if that's something we are interested in and want to take on or willing to. I don't know how exactly it would look from the county's perspective, but wanted to get that information out there today and see what the thoughts were.
I'm hopeful to see this happen. I don't want to see it be a burden on conservation or local entities to maintain it. So I'm interested in working with the department to allow it. What kind of access does the department grant, or do they mind if it's open to the public, or a trail around it, or a conservation interested in creating
It's free to do it whenever you want to, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we didn't talk about the habitat aspect of these sites, but not only are we getting the nitrate reduction, but a lot of these sites provide excellent habitat for waterfowl and migratory birds and shorebirds and amphibians. Every time I go out to one of our sites in the spring or the fall, I always see ducks and geese. Many of our sites attract a nesting pair of swans. It's pretty cool to see the swans and the cygnets out there. And yeah, it's amazing for habitat. So I could definitely see this being attractive for people that would be biking or walking along the recreational trail there. That's pretty neat. It's right by the trail.
I think in terms of like the agreement, really the big things are that, after construction, the wetland will remain in place, and then the land around it will be put into like Brandon Cola tall grass prairie, be planted, and the terms of the agreement are basically that the county has to allow it to remain that way and can't, go in and decide to do something else with it, afterwards, essentially.
Yeah, we just have to have, like we would do with a private landowner, we have to have an agreement in place that protects our investment in actually constructing the wetland.
Yeah, but in terms of what's done with the property beyond that is,
Yeah, I like the idea too.
Okay. Does the board have a general feeling, I guess, before I share what my thoughts are, any feeling towards easement versus maintenance agreement either way, or?
I'd have to review them. My first inclination is maintenance agreement, but that's
I would
certainly nothing hard and fast. I'd have the attorney review it. And
yeah, I would say definitely review both.
Does this have to go through our county conservation and also the Osceola County Conservation and Soil and Water The Soil and Water Conservation District Commissioners would be the folks that would actually hold the easement, and that's who would also sign the maintenance agreement. Okay. So the way that our department is structured, IDOLS, is we can't hold an easement, just like the DNR can't hold an easement. The state legislature doesn't allow us to do that, but we do have a partnership with all of the 100 soil and water conservation districts around the state. We provide their funding for cost share. So that's why the maintenance agreement and or easement would be going through that office.
Yeah, and I think I agree it would make sense to review both documents. We'll get them for you as examples and see what the thoughts are. My general thought too, from the maintenance perspective, would be that the maintenance agreement accomplishes what is necessary for the site, and I think makes a lot of sense. But so that the county's decision if we want to move forward.
So we mail all those out, won't you?
Yeah, well, I'll get with Brandon and make sure the county could get a copy of these. And as Brandon mentioned, the agreements are not held by the state; they're held by the local soil and water conservation as well. I think typically for these projects, if we do proceed with them, we like to meet with the soil and water conservation as well and talk to them about it, so they're aware of it too.
Yeah.
Would you be able to meet with our conservation board, or?
Yeah, I
would. Along those lines, or?
Yeah, we could set something up. I think that would be valuable. But when does the board meet? Tonight. All right, I'll see if I can set it
Tuesday evening.
Well, if I can't, we can set something up for a future meeting as well too. I'm assuming you're on that board, Jerry, then? Or, okay, yeah, that might be valuable too if we could do that. And I don't know, when do you guys typically do your soil and water meeting? Is that kind of at this point in the project?
Every county, every county has different schedules of when they.
But I mean, like when during the project, like
Oh.
right about now, or?
Yeah, I'll probably drive over to the SWCD office after this meeting.
Talk to them and
visit with them about it.
Okay, yeah.
We're to the point now where, we're gonna move to final design and it'll probably end up happening, so.
Right.
I guess that was my question before, it's with the Osceola SWCC and our conservation too?
So the maintenance agreement would be held with the Osceola County Soil and Water Conservation. In terms of like the county conservation department, I don't know that they would have to have any official involvement in the project.
That's the meeting that's tonight.
Is that
The
one?
county.
Yeah, yep. And yeah, I won't be able to make it tonight, but we can schedule another one. But I think it'd be great, because I'm guessing they kind of are operating the trail nearby there, or are they?
By default, basically.
Secondary road is now.
Oh, okay. Sure, okay. But I think it would be worthwhile to talk with them about the project as well.
We've had completed wetland projects that a private landowner did with us, and then they've sold the land to the county conservation board after the project's been done.
Yep.
And they've turned it into a county conservation board park, so.
Yeah, that would be an opportunity for the board, if that was something they were interested in.
Okay.
So I think that could make a lot of sense as well. That was something. So it sounds like we'll get these agreements to you. We'll maybe try and do a county conservation board meeting. Brandon's going to talk with Soil and Water as well. But kind of what I'm hearing is that the board has interest, but there's some questions to answer still. And then once we get those squared away, we can talk about potentially moving forward.
Work through the auditor's office with those.
Yeah, sounds great.
Communication.
Yeah, awesome. Well, appreciate everyone's time today for this, as well as drainage items. And Jason mentioned that you guys appointed us for the project with O'Brien. We appreciate that. I'm looking forward to working with you on that as well. So.
And actually, Ann Byers is on both of those, the SWs, and then also the county.
Oh, okay.
So she's the head of that up there. I know Ann, yeah.
Okay.
I used to work with her in my previous role at IDOLS.
Cool. And apologize, I was late this morning, but is it Jeff, right? Okay, nice to meet you, by the way. Sorry, I've been nice to meet you, and looking forward to working with you. So, thanks for the board's time today. Appreciate it, and we'll be in touch moving forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Imagine that, gentlemen, a pave application for the jail remodel.
We have to.
I don't think we can, I misplaced it,
Misplaced it.
but
You misplaced it. Is that big?
I misplaced it, so we don't have to. Oh, I see all zeros over here, so we don't have to. Do anything.
What is it, the 15 and then the 800 or so?
Yeah, it's 23,000 this time. It's, yeah, we owe architect 15,000. And then we owe Midwest Construction 7,247.38. And then we owe Jacobson Westegard $887.35. Come up with that 23,000. 134.73.
Any serious motions for consideration on pay application?
I'll make a motion, we pay it.
Motion from Schulte for approval of the pay application. Is there a desire for this to fail for lack of a second and a separate motion be made? Accepted bids on a jail project. We have a construction consultant. Mr. Helmers, would you take chairmanship of the board meeting, please?
How come?
I can't second him or act on a motion or as chair. With Mr. Helmers acting as chair, I will offer a support for the motion to approve the pay application.
we have a motion and support for accepting that application. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Would you like the chairperson back?
Depends, are we gonna take action on stuff? Next item, I will read. Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Next item is discussion of public safety funding.
I give you guys all, kind of what each time, the time you're paying, and then our fund balance there on the bottom of that next page. I started discussing this at public safety, and I was cut short, and I was a little bit dumbfounded, so I didn't pursue it anymore, so. What are you guys' thoughts?
I'm not following exactly what you're saying. You're saying
Well,
they're
we
not
thought-
interested in allowing some of the fund balance to be utilized? As we've
I don't
discussed,
know.
or?
I really can't tell you, Jason. I brought it up, and, one of the members said, I've heard enough about it, I don't wanna talk about it, and kinda cut me off, and, am I right, Leroy?
Right.
And who's that?
Just to not say right now. So, where do you, I guess the reason I brought it up here was, where do you think we should go? Should we pay the $778? Should we go to the 787 or the 879? There was a little pushback on some of those amounts. We have not had an increase since 20?
Yeah, it's been a
4
while.
years, I think.
Yeah, it's been a while.
20 or 21, I don't remember. But we also have been raising that fund balance ever since. And I attribute that to the county picking up 2 deputies, and every year we go up about that much, to be
Yeah,
honest with
it's
you.
in the rural, comes out of rural basic.
Yeah.
Those 2 deputies make a difference.
So I just, maybe a little guidance, anybody got any ideas, what their thoughts are? Like I said, was a little bit dumbfounded by, I brought up using some of that money,
So the next meeting's what, February 12th? Is that right? So the towns will have their answer
Yes.
then, if
Yes.
what they decide to do?
yes. And I know there are at least a couple that don't want any raise again. What are you guys' thoughts on the county?
So the numbers on the right are the ones that match what he needs for the budget? The ones on the left?
Left, to meet that 4.1. And I will give Kevin credit, he is pretty thrifty.
Yes, he is.
But he doesn't, I mean, he's just trying to cover all his budget. He
Yes.
doesn't ever take into fact the revenues or,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep. This is what it's gonna cost me, this is what we gotta pay, that's.
And then I need
In
guidance.
the past years, Jeff, we have not, there's always an increase, you know, 'cause wages and whatever.
Yeah.
We've not taken an increase for about 4 years.
The county hasn't?
No, none of them have.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that, had to look back. I don't, one of those years.
Yeah, it's been 2 for
I think
sure.
that's before the 4 years. One time, one of the cities, put in what they were asked to put in.
I think Harris has, if I remember, which,
Could be.
you know,
I think there was 1 year Sibley put in a little extra, didn't they?
Yes, yes. I don't remember if that's, but I don't know if that's in the last 4 years. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
No. So if you guys got any ideas for me, Jason, your thoughts on? I don't,
I've been
as a
along,
whole, I don't think the group was against us borrowing. They wanted a couple of them wanted an idea on how we pay it back and how fast we pay it back, and I said that's something we'd have to. Or is there a set way we do that?
No, I think we'll have to hold public hearings and then we'll have to decide, pay them back. I don't know how much we would pay them back a year. I don't know. This is all new to me. We never had this before.
I think that's what we're thinking, aren't we? Take some money out of public safety. Are you guys got a number in your head?
I'm kind of curious how far it's gonna.
Kind of, yeah. I have it in my head.
I'm kind of curious how far it's gonna run over. Because it's an estimate of what, 1.1, 1.2, something like that.
I mean, his budget, or what do you mean, the jail?
The jail. So I think they're looking at 1.1, 1.2 of going over what we've got. Because we've got, well, we started out with what, 5, 6, 4?
And remind me again, we
Shows us
interest on that?
1.8. Doesn't it?
We, not on public safety, we do not,
Okay,
but we
that's
do.
what that was the question,
Yep.
and I said, I don't think so, but I'm not
Because
positive.
that account doesn't earn interest, but the health insurance fund does, so we would have to pay back interest back.
And
on
then
that.
we take some out of both.
Well, Ryan told me that other counties have just transferred from that health fund and that's the end of it, so. I can ask him for examples and see how they did it, but.
Okay. When I talked to
Yeah,
Dave, that's what Dave told
I don't
me.
disagree with him, but.
Do we take the increase and then Rob and Peter to pay Paul, or what do we do there?
You said there was 2 of them that didn't want the increase?
Yeah. Well, their question was, we got a 1.328 in fund balance, or whatever it is there, if I'm looking at that right. Why should we take any increase when we only have a $1.4 million budget? But I don't know, I mean, that's just what just talking, and I didn't get to talk very long.
And I can see their point. I don't agree with it, but I can see their point.
And everybody has to agree.
Yeah.
And, you know, Kevin never he never spends all of his
No.
expenses.
No, like I say, he's does very well.
Yeah, he does.
Well, you can think about it and let me know, like I said, I'm not sure. I mean, some of them aren't a big increase, I mean, we pay a lot, ours is, but
Yeah.
do we go ahead and pay the increase and, like I said, back to Rob Peter to pay Paul, or?
I think that'd be available to us though.
No. I'd say however you guys as a board decide, I can go either way.
I mean, if we're paying it to public safety, but then they've gotta be willing to let us borrow from the ending fund balance.
Well, that was
And
kind
if
of
we're paying into it at an unequal rate or, then we're accomplishing what we need to accomplish.
Because then I'd rather keep
Because
that
of the
100.
sorry, Mike, go ahead.
I'd rather keep that 100,000, put it towards the jail.
But it's not all gonna be available because public safety or unified law levy is supporting that as well.
Yeah, so if you guys, I need to know how you want me to deviate that, what comes out of the general and what comes out of the public safety levy. Do I split it? Do I?
Throw this out there for discussion. I think we lower our general basic contribution substantially and use the unified law levy more.
$1.50.
it's available to us, whereas the state's keeping us from having other levies available to us anymore.
That's a good way to go.
So just get,
I'm certain I'm not trying to, a former board member that would say that probably isn't consistent with, based upon general fund contributions. But I don't know that there's a hard and fast definition of based upon. We've done it in the past. We now have a different need, and it's supportive of public safety and unified law by building a jail. So I would find it reasonable. I don't know how everyone else sees that, or.
well, I can put in the budget at the $1.50 and then take the remainder, and then when we do budgets, you guys can review it and
Yeah.
see, then I'll know more where our balances are and all. I don't know where our balances are yet. But we can go back to the $3.50 levy though, because our valuations are down.
You got confirmation of that?
Mhm.
Boy, I thought once it dropped below that, that was your new max
Yeah,
forever.
they changed it a little bit, so.
Okay.
When I went on the state site, $3.50 is our max, so. But unfortunately, that's not raising a lot of money, like $46,000 more,
So
so.
then are you saying just county pay the 100,000 or pay the percentage or?
Well, my thought
Okay,
is whatever the $1.50 raises, I would
Okay.
subtract that from the $8.79, and then the remainder would come out of general.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Is that how you want, I guess is that how you guys want me to proceed, or what?
what do you guys think?
Sounds good.
Well, I'll put it in that way, and then we can
Yeah.
always change
Yeah,
it
we
during
can.
budget times, when I know more where
We
we're
would
at.
still be contributing 7.7, if the other communities reach an agreement that we don't take an increase, we would still be contributing 778
Yeah,
to public safety, right?
that's
So we're on
my
the same
thought.
page.
So do I do the 778 or the 879?
I think 879.
Just, and then if they don't, you
We only
guys
actually
reduce it, then,
contribute to,
yeah, okay, I can do that. Just get you a picture what it looks like at
but
least.
that's not saying we'd use the unified law levy to reach 879 if we're, which it won't
I
get that
don't, no,
high.
it won't. The
But I just
$1.50
don't wanna
won't.
go above the
Will you
778
have that
unified
figured by
law.
the next,
Yes, when we do budgets, yes, I will.
oh yeah, next week? or-
Yeah, the 28th, yep.
Okay. Well, like I said, just wanted to bring it up, like I said, I cut kind of short and.
So I'm guessing the sheriff did not present a budget that included a line item funding
No.
the jail to some extent, sure.
Okay.
Consider county attorney position. Michelle just handed me a signed, not that I've read it, but I'm assuming resignation, as Mr. McGowan indicated earlier.
I did talk to Dickinson County too, and they are willing to help us out too if we need help. And I think Clay probably would too.
Lyon County has provided a draft of a potential sharing agreement.
Can you share this with everybody?
Sorry.
I'm just surprised that today is his last full day here. To hand that in the day of.
Today's his last full day?
Not even. Till noon.
He was sworn in Lyon County this morning.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, he wasn't?
It's at noon, or 12:01.
Oh.
I thought that too, but no, it's at 12:01.
I know Jerry disagreed with me, but I could see Toby doing it. Because he's got courtroom experience.
I'm not saying I disagree with you. Are you talking about me?
Yeah.
No. I'm looking more at keeping somebody for a while.
Yeah.
The ad has, this is the ad or hasn't been out?
No, yes, that's the ad. I have not put it in the paper yet. I wanted yours approval and I wanted to know how long we're taking applications and all that good stuff. It would be in the paper next week.
It indicates it's our responsibility to appoint within 40 days.
Yeah, but
Unless we receive a petition requesting an election.
Yeah, I have to put a notice in the paper 4 to 20 days before an appointment is made. That tell them that they would have so many days to file a petition. But I can't put that ad in until I know when we're going to appoint somebody.
So we can't even start advertising for appointment until after the 20 days.
No, we can do it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to put an ad in the paper
Saying that
4 to 20 days before the board makes the appointment. So until we take applications. I probably would put it in maybe the week of that week that you're advertising or holding interviews, and then for 20 days. And because then if we don't appoint, then every time I got to run that ad, we don't, keep running until we appoint somebody. So I don't want to trying to save cost here.
When we interview, I'd kind of like to have Kevin sit in on it. Maybe he's got some questions that I don't think of.
Do we have to accept that resignation formally? That's what's on
I would think so.
Hmm?
I would think so.
I'll make a motion to accept Nolan's resignation.
We have a motion from Schulte, support from DeBoer to formally accept the resignation of the Osceola County Attorney. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We want to discuss potential acceptance of, discuss potential 2080 agreement for interim county attorney.
If we do this 2080, then do we have to, is he solely our only attorney, or if?
For right now, until we get, we could possibly we might have to revise this and if we get other counties to help out.
Agree with another county,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I did check, if we hired somebody part-time or 2 part-time, they still have to live in the county.
Oh, okay.
They can't, so that doesn't help us any. I just thought maybe if they didn't have to live in the county, if they could be part-time, that would help, but I said no, they have to live in the county, so. And they have to live in the county the time that they are appointed.
At the time they are appointed?
Yep.
Well, we gotta accept this temporary non-county, don't we? 2080.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of choice.
And then you can always,
So you can still run the ad, the same.
yep. So how long do you want me to run this ad? Like I said, it'll be going in on the 22nd.
I'd say if we see some decent applicants, I'd quit.
Yeah, you better.
I think it's a deadline as to when the applications have to be in, or
Can you put until job is filled? Does that work?
probably, yeah,
I would put a deadline in there, that way, if they're thinking about it.
and they know. So should I run it till, the night? They have to have it in by, I don't know, the 19th or 20th?
22nd it'll go in?
Yes.
1, 2, 12? I don't know.
Sounds good.
I'll just run it that day then, and then, yep, okay. And I guess we'll go from there. That's all we can do at this point.
I'm gonna miss a few meetings the end of February into March. I'll be back March 17th.
Me too.
When are you leaving, Jeff?
I'm leaving the 24th.
Okay.
I'm leaving I'll be gone the 25th until March 17th.
So everybody else has to be there that day. So we have a quorum.
I'm getting something off my bucket list and I have no idea why I even want to do it.
It's on your bucket list.
What?
Because it's on your bucket list.
So gotta do it, right? Don't have any choice.
Oh, you have a choice.
The tickets have been bought. Kind of nice to be at that point in life, isn't it? It's kind of nice to be at that point in life. Just meet for a few weeks.
Unless you're sitting in this room, because nobody else is showing up.
You could call. I'm not gonna answer, but you could call.
Do we need a motion for this temporary? We do that.
No, we haven't yet.
I'm making a motion for the temporary Lyon County, Osceola County attorney agreement.
Second.
Motion by Helmer, support from Loring for approval of the temporary Lyon Osceola County Attorney Agreement as presented. Further discussion? Say that you have to terminate, we would have 20 days notice, but let me consider that guy time frame for adjusting it to, or maybe extend the same latitude to them, but
So do you want me to reach out to those other counties or just wait and see where we get with interviews?
Let's see what we have with interviews
Okay.
first.
I'd like to see you reach out and see if we could just give them a draft of this and that we could consider something along these lines for at least half of it, or we could split it up between juvenile and criminal. And
That's fine.
Okay.
well, we're back to this agreement. No further discussion. All those in favor of approval signify with aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. We have a sharing agreement, temporary sharing. That covers that agenda item. Quarterly reports were presented or provided for.
I didn't make copies. It was just the recorder's office and our office.
Oh, I saw the investment report.
And that's, yeah, like it's just FYI.
I think you could do a little better than
I
that,
know,
Rochelle.
right?
Jeez.
I'm trying. It's those passports that, well, they need to make us.
And tell Sheila she better get on the stick.
Whenever you have time, that's for you to sign.
Claims to consider. Okay, number 1128 is to Boswell Water Service.
Motion we paid that claim.
Support it.
Motion by Helmer, support from DeVore to approve the payment to claim 1128 to Boswell Water Service. I will abstain. All those in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. I abstain.
Oh, we accepted
Resignation.
resignation and we signed the 2080.
Temporary agreement.
For 3 months.
Mhm.
All right, well, it's been great working with y'all. I mean that. Still be around for a while. I hope you can find yourselves a new county attorney in 3 months, but given how long it took Lyon, that might not be the case. They said I could do it for up to 6 months. We'll see if I can handle that for doing that for a whole year. I'm gonna miss being here. I'll still be around a lot. I'm still gonna golf here and be around, so. It's been a great experience and appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, it really doesn't seem like it's been 7.5 years.
We are gonna reach out to other surrounding counties and see if there's agreements they'd be willing to enter into to do part of the maybe juvenile or criminal or kind of divide it up like Lyon did with Sue and us for a while.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, that might make life a little easier for everyone. It's quite a lot doing all that, so. But, yeah, so appreciate y'all.
Thanks for the 7.5 years.
We're gonna find somebody right away.
That's the attitude. Positive mental attitude matters. There you go. So, yeah, you guys all take care, and I'm gonna go swear it in Lyon.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
That was good,
Take care,
thanks. I'll make a motion on the rest of the claims.
Second.
Motion by Schulte, support from Waring to approve the remainder of the claims presented. Further discussion?
Can't sign it, put my pen away.
Hearing none. All those in favor of approval signify with aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Anything under other business? Courthouse, committee reports, economic development, or future agenda items?
Okay, I think I know the answer and I know what I would suggest, but I'm just asking. You know, I had in the budget to cement out part of the ambulance, the storage shed of the ambulance garage. I'm assuming we're just gonna kind of wait and see where we're at, or did you want me to put an ad in the paper for that, or? I'm just asking, so.
I'd
I'm
prefer to
assuming to wait.
divert that to the.
That's what I figured.
jail project.
That's what I figured. And I would suggest that, but I wanted, it's not my, you know, I had to ask that.
You were gonna twist arms.
No, I wasn't. I thought, you know what, we can niche that, but I just wanted your opinion first. And then next week. With Ryan, or did you talk to him, or?
I have not received anything more from him. Ryan had indicated he would likely give us an update on insurance next week. Shared with him that we had made a decision.
So, he said you could come talk to us next week, or we could go by phone, whatever. I don't know what you want to do there. I'm okay with not having a meeting, but we can. He's gonna be in Dickinson, so.
We met yesterday with the hospital and with the gentleman from the state to try to give us some guidance. I think we're going in the right direction. But the state kind of recommended to go full-time. As he said, I think we had like 600 calls last year, or give or take a little bit. He says it's getting to that point, not with a full-time crew, but at least with the director as full-time.
disagree, but whatever.
Like he says too, let's say 600, that's almost 2 a day. Not quite, but what I give a lot of thanks to is the businesses that let their employees go. Because when they leave, it's anywhere from an hour to 4 hours. I give them a lot of credit for this.
The job description for EMS, or Dan's job. EMA, sorry. Part-time? Did you put in there?
That's what the board did, part-time, with a possible, part-time, possible
See what we
full-time.
get for applicants.
John McDougal's put it in the paper, so, but yeah, there, it is, it did say part-time possibility of
I
full-time.
really don't want to see that go to a full-time position. 'Cause I don't think there's enough going on to support a full-time person. That's just my opinion.
Well, right now, this all goes back to we gotta figure out how to pay for the jail. That's my opinion.
I don't think they can make it full-time without the county contributing more.
No.
I mean, and we take it out of general supplemental, but
But I just don't see that much work there to warrant a full-time person. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
I would agree with you.
It's gonna be harder to find a part-time than a full-time.
Yeah.
maybe somebody's just looking for something part-time.
Yeah,
You know, a retired person that's looking for
Just something to do.
something to do, I don't know, you know, right person for it.
But that's just my thoughts.
So are we not meeting next week then? Just kind of let him call in?
If he's, yeah, I don't know, if he submits something, we can. If we have agreements or other counties willing to enter into an agreement for sharing an attorney, it might be worth on the special meeting or
I'm
meeting
not
with
sure
him.
if I'm
But
gonna get that all done before.
no, and I don't expect that, but if they were responsive and willing, to me, we'd start a 20-day window on altering what we agreed to with Lyon County, so waiting another week wouldn't necessarily be ideal, but I can wait too.
No, just gonna be Friday to give them a call. I might not give them enough time to.
Michelle handed out, you gotta come to this meeting, because it's on the 29th.
I do.
Yep.
Which one was that?
Conference board.
29th, are you looking at
We'll be here
half day?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Headed
we
to
will.
Des Moines that afternoon, so
Yeah, it should be half a day.
that would be good, 'cause
The times are later too, so just FYI.
You'll be on, the
board?
Yeah,
We all are.
Oh, well.
Because it's supervisors, mayors,
Mayors, yeah.
and school.
I have, yeah, so are we assuming a half-hour meeting? So that we set our regular board meeting at 9? Or do you think it would be
Yeah.
shorter than that, or?
No,
9 probably.
I would do 9 then, and then we'll start budget reviews. We have a closed session that day, at 9 o'clock. With, Rockman. Nathan Rockman wants a closed session with the board, so, get an update, so. And then budget reviews after that.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah, like the same thing.
Anything further, or look to adjourn?
I can see adjourning.
Take that as a motion by Schulte to adjourn.
You sure can.
Support from Loring for adjournment. Any further discussion?
Gotta have a cookie before we go though.
None. All those in favor signify with aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.